Hi everyone, Aaron here for Zollotech, and today Apple released watchOS 8.4.1 to the public. This is available to all watchOS 8 supported devices and is available on the Series 4 to Series 7 Apple Watch. For some reason, Apple did not release it for the Series 3 Apple Watch, so apparently there wasn't a bug or security update that was needed in that particular watch. So if you have a Series 4 to Series 7, you should see it now, unless you're on the betas of watchOS 8.5, then you won't see it as you're on a newer version that's being tested. Now, as far as the overall size of this, you can see that it came in at 327 megabytes. That's on a Series 6 Apple Watch, and this was an old version that was not updated since watchOS 8.1 or since the Series 7 came out. So if you're on the latest version, it will probably be smaller, under 100 megabytes. You'll see here's a different watch, 71.7 megabytes. Now let's take a look at the build number and talk about what's new. So to see the build number, that tells us what version we're on. We'll go to Settings, then we'll go to General, then About, and you can see the version is 19S550. This particular build just lets us know we're on the latest version. And when Apple released this, it's a little bit odd on their website. This is a public-facing website. You'll see it says watchOS 8.4.1, February 8, 2022. Well, right now it's February 1st, so maybe they were intending to release this next week, and maybe we could see some more next week. Also, another curious thing is a test flight update that they pushed out on January 28th, because it says apps built for iOS 15.4 Beta 4, iPadOS 15.4 Beta 4, macOS 12.3 Beta, tvOS 15.4 Beta, and watchOS 8.5 Beta can use Xcode 13.3. So whether or not that's a typo or we have to wait for 3 more betas, since we're already on Beta 1, is hard to say, but I just thought I'd point that out. Now, as far as anything new in this update, well, Apple says watchOS 8.4.1 includes bug fixes for Apple Watch Series 4 and later. And they have not specified exactly what this is for. However, earlier this week, quite a few people had an issue with this syncing between devices with the Apple Watch and iPhone when you're using Apple Wallet. So if you're using an Apple Card with your Apple device, maybe iPhone, Apple Watch, you add a new pass to your iPhone, it doesn't show up properly on the Apple Watch. Now, Apple has not said they've resolved this. I thought this was resolved with the iCloud outage we had last week, but either way, Apple has not commented on it. So they've just said that they've fixed bugs, and there's also security updates in it. So it could be related to that, or maybe the charging bug, but the specific charging bug was pretty much fixed with the previous update of 8.4. They specifically mentioned that and fixed that in that update. I haven't heard of other people having issues with the charging update, but if you did, hopefully it's resolved for you, and I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. Now, as far as the security updates, if we go to the Apple website, we can see those here. They have a security update site, and if you scroll down, you can see it says watchOS 8.4.1. It says this update has no published CVE entries. So they're not publishing what they've updated as far as security, but they went far enough to actually push a security update and then say that they have one, but they didn't publish anything about it. So there could be specific fixes in here, but they didn't want to tell us what they are, and maybe they're fixing an issue, and they felt that it was a big enough issue to push out this update to begin with. So as far as that goes, that's what we're seeing in this update. It's going to be mostly a stability update or bug fix update. So stability overall on my Apple Watch has been pretty good, and most people say that it's the same thing. Even if you're on watchOS 8.5, since that's in the works, most people are having a pretty stable experience with it, whether it be loading different apps. Maybe we go down here, or up here rather, we'll go to Podcasts. You'll see it should open fairly quickly. It's going to take a moment to update the library since I haven't opened it in quite some time. And you'll see as I scroll through, it's nice and fast. So it seems to be responding fast. No issues there whatsoever. And with watchOS 8.5, we should have new emoji when we get that. So I'll talk about when to expect that in a moment. As far as battery life, well, the battery's at 100%. Currently, because I just put it on the charger to install the update. However, many of you have asked, what's the battery health like on this watch since it's a little bit older? So this is my Series 6 Apple Watch, and if I go down to battery, go to battery, scroll down a little bit more, go to battery health, there we go, we're at 88% maximum capacity. So after a year and a few months, we're down to 88%. 80% after 2 years is completely normal, and updates don't reduce the battery health. They're just checking the overall physical capability of the battery. So I really wouldn't worry about that. And that leads me to, should you install this update? And I would say if you're on a Series 4 or newer and not on the current betas, absolutely install it. Because of the bug fix, whether that be the syncing issue with Apple Wallet, or whether that be a fix that we weren't aware of, or security updates, I would highly recommend you install it just for those reasons. There's always security updates, and those are important to have installed on your watch. And typically, watchOS is very stable regardless of the updates. So it seemed important enough to push this out, even though it said next month, or next week rather, with this particular update, as I showed you earlier, where it said February 8th. So it's kind of odd that they did that, but I would say definitely install this. So that leads me to think maybe we'll have iOS 15.3.1 next week. Maybe they just wanted to push this out early enough, as they found maybe a security issue they thought was critical enough to get that out and release now. So maybe we'll see iOS 15.3.1 a little bit later on. But as far as watchOS 8.5 Beta 2, I would expect it next week unless Apple wants to change it to this week. Typically with early betas, we'll have a bi-weekly release until we get to about Beta 3, and then we'll have a weekly release after that. So I think we'll have a release next week, although this is a surprise release this week, and we could see them update this again tomorrow, or maybe even later tomorrow, or even on a Friday at this point. They've really been random about that. But as far as major changes, don't expect anything major until watchOS 9 and iOS 16 that they should show at WWDC in June, and that's when we see the major updates every year, and then they release those in September. So don't expect any major changes to Apple Watch. We do expect a couple different Apple Watch models later this year, such as the Series 8, maybe a rugged version, and a new SE version. But other than that, we're not expecting much. Many of you ask what watch face I'm using, so I did want to cover that briefly. So if I press and hold, you'll see it's called Infograph Modular. So if we go to Edit, you'll see it's Infograph Modular. The date is in the upper right, then we've got the time, messages on the left, and then in the middle, it's an app called Lumi. So this is an app called Lumi. It's a paid app that shows when is the best time to take a photo, for example. And then also in the bottom right, we have activity, music in the middle, and then we have the weather in the bottom left. So that's all this is, just Infograph Modular. Now, as far as anything else, well, that's all there is in this particular update. It's just a bug fix and security update. But if you've found anything else in it, I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. Also, if you'd like to get your hands on this wallpaper, I'll link it in the description like I normally do. And if you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe. And if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. As always, thanks for watching. This is Aaron. I'll see you next time.